You're listening to Bold Hearts, Big Moves, the show for female entrepreneurs who want it all: a thriving business, deep self love, and fulfilling relationships. I'm Erin Anderson, and each week we will dive into how to set stronger boundaries, make empowered choices, and show up in life and business with boldness, authenticity, and heart. Because let's be real, the money you make is directly related to the love that you have for yourself and the strength of your relationships. So if you're ready to lead with love and make those big moves with those bold hearts, let's dive in.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Bold Hearts, Big Moves. Guys, I am so excited about this podcast episode. Cheryl Slate and I have been chatting back and forth for the last little bit. She's an author and an amazing one at that, as well as an intuitive healer, chakra clearer. She's just fabulous. When I started talking to Cheryl, you can just feel her energy and her light and just her genuine sweetness come through. And oh my gosh, you guys, she just has such a gift. She did a chakra reading for me. It cleared out so much stuff. I have felt better, more alive, and more open than I have before. And so I really wanted to welcome Cheryl to the show. We're going to be talking today about her book, The Client Magnet, because I felt like that is so very relatable to everything that I'm doing, everything that she's doing, and everything that you guys are doing. So without further ado, welcome Cheryl to Bold Hearts, Big Moves.
Oh, thank you so much, Erin. It truly is an honor to be here with you. I feel like we're soul sisters and here to do our work in the world and do everything we can to help other women.
Yes. Yes, like there is that connection, isn't there? So fun. And it's so wonderful. It's wonderful when Heavenly Father brings like people out of the woodworks that you're just like, oh my gosh, I knew you in the pre-earth life. I just adore you. And you are so part of my tribe. And it's just so much fun when Heavenly Father raises up friends. Like, it's just so good. So good. So yummy. So I want to hear about your book. So tell us about it. I know you've been talking about like the ACE method. Give us like the basic premises of your book.
So my book, Client Magnet, is really geared toward coaches, entrepreneurs, and it's sort of targeted toward women,
Mm-hmm.
professional women, but of course men can read it as well. Never rule out men. And if I can share the story, what brought me to write that book, because
Yes, please.
I wrote my first book and I thought that was it. One and done. I'll never write another book. I'm at this mature age of my life. I don't, I did it, box ticked. And what happened was my first book was Heal Your Neck Issues and Let Your Throat Chakra Shine. Because so many of us, especially women, we don't feel seen and heard, and we have a lot of trouble expressing our deepest truth, especially our soul's purpose in the world. That's the highest level. And so I was working with a lot of women. I created a program for that, and it was just fabulous, helping women transform their lives and their businesses. I started to get a lot of coaches and entrepreneurs. And what happened was they were coming to me because they weren't getting any clients. They might have launched their first program and did their group, and then that was it. They weren't
Mm.
getting any clients. I had one woman, 10 months, she was doing everything right. Everything, spending hours and hours and hours a day. And another woman, it had been 18 months since she got a client into her program.
Mm.
Months. So they were
Yeah.
struggling. They were really struggling. And I did a chakra reading for each of them, and I could see where their blocks were. And I just said, well, you've got enough light in here. Your light is really your superpowers that we can shift this. And both of them, within 6 or 7 weeks, had a full group signed up.
Oh, I love that.
Whoa. And they were off to the races. And I started to work with other coaches. And because what happens, it was like they hit the glass ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
They did it once, and they're ready to move to the next level, which wasn't that far above, but they couldn't keep going because when we really step into our light, whatever kept us from doing it before will come up. And so
Yeah.
that's what was happening for them. And so we worked together and started to clear their blocks as to what was getting in the way so they could move to that next level and really move into fulfillment and doing what they're meant to do. So then one day I was just inspired to write the book. I thought, oh my
Oh, I
gosh,
get it.
to share this with coaches, business women, anyone, even, even if you have a great job and you're looking for that promotion, if you know you're meant for more, if you know
Mm-hmm.
you're meant for more, then this book is for you.
Yeah. And it's true. And a lot of coaches actually do struggle, getting clients in and even sometimes, we talk about that ebb and that flow, that ebb and that flow. Sometimes we get a lot of clients, sometimes we don't get a lot. Sometimes we get a lot, sometimes we don't. Right? And I hear about that, but then I also know of coaches that are always getting clients. And it seems like they're the ones that are the most at their essence. You know what I mean? The ones that have really, really stepped into that light. And I totally get what you're saying too about like stepping into that light, right? And then that thing that's prevented you from doing it is definitely going to show up, right? Because, just even in my own journey, I've noticed as I've stepped further into my life, further into the things that I want to do, further into my business, further into my coaching, things like my time energy, my time boundaries have come up. My health has come up, and this is something you well know, right? Um, we've talked about things like self-judgment, and here I am, like I feel like I'm a very confident person, right? But as I've been stepping further into like, okay, I want to be a seven-figure business coach now. I'm noticing like things like some of that self-judgment coming up again, and I'm like, dang, I thought I took care of that, right? Like, how often do we say those things to ourselves? But the truth of the matter is, yeah, it's going to keep coming up because we need to keep whittling away at it. You know what I mean?
It's so true. It will keep coming up over time. But the thing is, the more you evolve, the less it comes up.
Mm-hmm.
More you live in a higher state. And so even for example, these women started working with me because they said, where are you getting your clients? What are you doing? And I was just like, I don't know. They just seem to fall out of the sky. And
Mm-hmm.
people are finding me. And it's still like that. It's still like that. But I did hit my glass ceiling after I wrote Client Magnet, and I was really on a roll. I mean, I was having over 50K months. It was unbelievable to me. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then it stopped. It just
Oh,
boom. What happened? What happened? And so I had to take a hard look at myself, but I know how to do the work. And there's 3 steps. And, as you know, with my ACE method. And so I did that work. And it's, just like anything, we're never finished. We're never
mm-hmm.
finished. So even like you said, you're striving for those 7 figures
Mm-hmm.
and something will always come up. So to me, the work becomes like a lifestyle and
You're right.
it's challenging and we have to face our fears and our blocks and our sense of unworthiness or whatever it is. But the
Yeah.
rewards are so amazing. And so when we get into that place where we're really in alignment, fully in alignment with why we're here and what we're doing, and we keep evolving through that, that we naturally attract clients. And there are some practices in the book. The book is like a workbook. There's a lot of meditations that you can do to help you clear your own blocks, become your own energy worker.
Mm-hmm.
what it's all about. So you can step into that and be an energetic client magnet.
Yes, and because that's the thing about the feminine money mindset is it's about this energy. I had somebody asking a question in one of my groups, my Facebook groups the other day, and it was, oh, I'm trying to think. Oh, it was something about clients and like how do you find clients? Or like it kind of had the energy of like how do you chase the client, right? And my answer was is I don't. I don't, right? I'm a woman. I get to be attractive. I get to attract the things that I want. I don't have to run out and go find what I want. It comes to me, right? When we have that idea and that mindset, it's amazing what happens. And you're right. Like when you start to declare the thing that you want, right? I am Erin Anderson. I am a 7-figure business coach, right? Am I there yet? Not quite. But that's okay. I'm going to start saying that. I'm going to keep saying those kinds of things to myself because I feel it in my soul that that's true, right? That there is that possibility. But guess what happens? You're right. Those things start to come up. And when those things come up, these are the things that you need to listen to. These are the things that are in the way of you achieving that thing, right? And so for me, I'll just share a story that recently happened to me as I've been sitting here saying these things. Like, okay, I'm Erin Anderson. I'm a 7-figure business coach. I drive a Ford Explorer. I take my family on these amazing vacations, and I'm saying these things over and over and over again. Well, the Lord, he kept me up until 3 a.m. one night talking to me. And, I was like, I got it. Let me go back to bed. And he's like, no, 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 no. Go get a pen, paper, go get a pencil, get up right now. We're going to talk. Right. And so I started writing down these things. But one of the biggest things that he told me was I used to have this idea, this stuck energy of like quote unquote holding the poop bag, right? So basically what it is like when we have these relationships that show up in our life that we feel have done negative things to us or have in a sense betrayed us or created some type of a trauma in our lives, right? And then what they do is they say, oh, I'm not interested in hearing what you have to say. And so we quote unquote feel like we're holding the poop bag. One of the things he taught me was I didn't speak up in those moments. Right? So guess what he's been having me do? I have been messaging or talking to or writing a letter or something to those people, right? Telling them the truth. Like not in a mean or negative way or in any kind of disrespectful way. No, it's in complete love and complete respect, but it's the truth, right? And those people I tell the honest to gosh truth about, and then I say, I forgive you. Send the message. What they want to do with it is now theirs, right? But for me, I've been noticing like, oh, is it if you've ever kind of noticed like this, say like a balloon that's rising, but it's tethered to the ground, and they go and they cut the strings. It's that feeling of like I'm the balloon and I'm getting those strings cut finally, right? And it's amazing to see what happens because when you declare what it is you want, I am a client magnet. I am Erin Anderson. I am a client magnet. I have clients falling out of the sky, right? When you say those things, well, those things are going to start coming up. The things like those limiting beliefs are going to start coming up. Those money blocks will start coming up and you can start addressing them. That's what is amazing about this. You know what I mean?
So true, so true. And I love your analogy of these strings being cut from like a helium balloon that have been preventing you from rising up. And
Mhm.
we face the blocks. And are you interested to know the two things that I notice in women that are getting
Yes.
away, that are getting
Oh,
in the
yes.
one. And I would say by far the majority, I would say 80% of the women I work with, and I don't work with really young women. I work with mature women, often professionals, who know they're meant for more.
Mm.
And because the young women don't have enough life experience and they're not desperate for change yet. The women I work with know they're meant for more and they are desperate. And what I see time and time again it's a cultural conditioning that we all created. We're all responsible for that.
Oh, yeah.
Started late 60s, early 70s with women's lib. And the divine feminine is receptive. And we are all here to be a balance of the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And so what happened with women's lib, we sort of, I remember women burning their bras and started to be more like men, that expressive, being very, very expressive and power over, power is different, all that sort of thing. But what's happened over the years, women have lost their capacity to be receptive. And
Yes.
side thing. And so there's the left and the right side of us energetically, and the natural flow for women and men, but much more so for women, is being receptive,
Mm-hmm.
is being able to receive. I mean, you even think of our genitals, the woman receives, if I could be
Yes. Blunt, it is true.
you know, but developing receptivity, and I have a meditation, and I would love to offer it out to
Yes.
any of your listeners. If you'd like the meditation, you can just contact me through social media. Developing receptivity, so they're out of balance on the left. In order to get to your next level, you must be able to receive it. And so this is something that most of us are so unconscious about. But you can look at yourself and say, how well do I receive compliments?
Mm-hmm.
I receive positive feedback. And
Mm-hmm.
so even when I was, when I went to a new level in my business, I was receiving at a level I hadn't received at before. And money is love.
Mm-hmm.
Money, and it's all God's money.
Yep.
We're not receiving money, we're not receiving God. If we're not receiving
Yes.
God, we're not, everything else, the love,
Yes.
the light. And so that really taught me a big lesson, and I see it frequently. And so it really is the left side, and money it's all in the root chakra, and it's what we're responsible for. And so when we take action and we live our soul's purpose, we must get paid if we so choose. So we need to be able to be receptive, and we need to be receptive to those ideal clients. I only get my niche. It's
Mm-hmm.
just amazing.
It is.
Amazing. And it's not, so I think one, we over time, we narrow that down and we do it energetically, that this is what I'm in alignment with. This is who I love to serve. And part of the reason for me today is because, I'm in my 60s, and I'm getting to that stage of life. It's time to think about leaving a legacy. And so part of that is getting those clients who are going to carry on my work, that
Mm-hmm.
it's out into the world. So that's the first issue. And number two falls in the solar plexus. More cultural conditioning, as well as what's often in the family, and unspoken rules. And the number one rule is that we all fall under. I rarely see a woman that doesn't fall under this, that it's not okay to be as powerful as men.
Yeah. Yep.
Not okay to be as powerful as men, or even more powerful. And like we talked about, divine power is very different. The divine feminine power is very different than divine masculine power. And so often the way I see it in chakra readings, that it's just so common. I think of it kind of as an epidemic, but women are rising out of this. And it's like at the back of the solar plexus, there's this little dark, little black ball that's kind of lingering in there, so well hidden. So we're not conscious of it. And if you remember in your chakra reading, Aaron, how I don't just look at the chakra as one thing, and I don't balance chakras. It's because to me, it's kind of not like that. I see the chakras as light, and I see the front, the back, the top, the bottom, the middle.
Right.
And they all have different meanings in each chakra. So they're multifaceted, and we store information. We store where we're clear in alignment, and that looks like light. And we store where the blocks are. So that's one that I often see. And then women hold back to a certain extent, expressing their inner power, which is ultimately God or source, the universe's power moving through you. And that
Yes.
solar plexus, and I remember seeing your solar plexus and how bright, and you're ready to move to that
Mm,
level. You can see the transition, and that's our power center, and that power center is rooted in truth,
yeah.
and it's our own personal truth and divine truth within us, that we all are the same. We all have our own personal truth and divine truth,
Yeah.
and the light and love of God expressing through us, and that we are divine beings. And so we want that chakra really bright. And the only way it can get there really is you really need to do the work on the lower two chakras.
Yes. Yes. And what you're kind of expressing is like a pendulum. The issues that women face, right? We're not as powerful or we're more than. And both of those are actually, if I can be so bold, are mentalities rooted in pride, right? Because both of them are comparisons against men, right? The thing is we want to come into the center. This is why chakras are so important, is because they center us, right? This is kind of what we were talking about. And so when we get into these chakras and we're saying things like, okay, like you're saying my root chakra, my solar plexus, like in my mind, we're talking about like the two greatest relationships, the relationship with God and relationship with self, right? When we are in alignment with those two relationships, all the other relationships tend to just fall into place. These are things that I've talked about for years and years and years. And, uh, you know, but the thing is if we want that light, we have to check into the light. We don't find the light. Like we can find light in other people, obviously, but not the light. It's a whole lot like here's a lamp, you have a lamp and you're trying to just plug it into anywhere in the wall, right? Hoping that it lights up. No, you actually have to plug it into the outlet, the actual source of light, right? To get the lamp to shine, right? And the thing is your lamp, the plug is literally the light source, and that is God, that's Christ, that is you, the divine feminine. And I've also said this for years and years and years, and that is that, you know, to be divinely feminine, you must need also that divine masculine. Well, if we're sitting here saying, well, I'm not as good as a man or I'm better than a man, what does that do to us? Makes sense? It keeps us out of that divine feminine because, again, we cannot attract a divine masculine. But there's also the other spot to say, I love men. There was only one perfect one, right? And I have seen some fantastic, wonderful masculine men who really, really shine in their masculinity. But if we want divine femininity, we have to put ourselves in the power of God. That's the divine masculine. When we put ourselves in that power, we have the things that are important to us, that safety, that sense of self, that love, that protection, that visibility, that being seenness. You know what I mean? All these things that women really, really want. And when we have those things, that being seen, being heard, feeling free to express ourselves, this is what being a divine feminine feels like. You know what I mean? But it's because we put ourselves under the Lord.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's so true. We can't do it. None of us are independent of God, of source, whatever word you want to use. And the ultimate power is the love of. And so we really are all connected. And part of one of our biggest problems is living in separation and not recognizing the divine in every single human being. I remember decades ago, when I discovered that we really are all souls in a human body and we are all part of God, the creator, and that exists in everyone. And I remember being downtown and seeing homeless people and seeing them as that. See, we're all the same. We're all the same. And we don't know what the other person's journey is. We don't know what that soul signed up for. And so it makes it so much easier for us to not go into judgment, judgment of ourselves and especially judgment of others.
Yes.
It really creates something. And going back to being a client magnet, we want to be fully in our light and we want to ideally attract those souls who need us the most. There are souls out there that absolutely need you for what you have to offer specifically.
Yes. And that's so true. So very true. And this is why this is another beautiful thing about the being in the client magnet is there's no competition. There's no competition when you look at it that way, right? Like there's people that are going to come to you, Cheryl, that need your specific flavor, right? That really do. And then there's going to be people that come to me that need my specific flavor and so on and so forth, right? I know that there are people out there that talk like other women that talk about like clearing money blocks, right? And they use like the human design. You love to use like the chakras. Me, I totally go into the intuition and I can actually hear it, when people are talking about their money blocks. And once like it just really depends on where that person is at, like what's really going to fit them. You know what I mean? And what are their needs? What is it that they truly need? And this is why when we really do step into our light and we love ourselves, because the thing is, it's like that magnetism, like you're talking about, right? If you have that judgment, you've got some type of a separation in self. You're kind of not with yourself, if that makes sense. Well, if you can't even attract you, how are you going to attract other people? You know what I mean? So stepping into your light, that is literally accepting all parts of yourself. And so if you're stuck in this self-judgment, and everybody has self-judgment, just realized I still had a little bit, right? Cool. Guess what? That's just another piece of myself that I get to bring in and love, right? Just another piece of myself that I get to bring in and just love. These are all pieces of myself. I'm not meant to be perfect, but I am meant to step into love. And there is nothing more perfect than love. You know what I mean? And so when we think about our businesses and attracting our clients this way and loving ourselves fully so that way someone else can, because let's be honest, that's what everybody wants, right? It comes in the form of, I want money, or I want that Ford Expedition, or I want to take my family on these amazing clients. But what they're really saying, like at the base of it all, is I want to know myself and I want to accept myself and I want to live in love. That's really at the crux of it, isn't it?
It's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. And like you said, there are many methods. We all, as coaches, as healers, whatever we call ourselves, and so you have amazing intuition. I have good intuition. I like to help my clients learn how to go into their subconscious because to get into that, to move into that light and that love and be in alignment with it, we can try and do it at the level of the mind, but we're only aware of what we're thinking and what's happening in the left brain, in the linear brain.
Mm-hmm.
Blocks are where our subconscious blocks are in the right brain. And
Mm.
Science has proven that trauma, all our wounding is stored, it's imprinted in the right side of the brain through physical sensations and emotions. So many people don't want to go back into their past if something terrible happened because they think, I don't want to have to remember that and relive it. And you don't have to.
Mhm.
And trauma and wounding is only remembered in fragments. You'll never have a clear start to finish memory. The brain doesn't work that way. And so it's held in the emotions and physical sensations. And that's where we can clear those and actually access those old subconscious beliefs that are holding us back that we have no idea about. Even at the age of 1, even in the
Yeah.
we can create a belief that we carry along, and that's what creates the patterns that we are now living in that we're all trying so diligently to step out of. But when we access it when it first began, we can clear it, and then we can move into our truth. We can move into who we truly are and a new belief. We can actually reprogram the subconscious. And this is where the brain's neuroplasticity really comes in. We're not going to be on that old highway, that energetic highway anymore. No, we're going to change directions, and we are going to create
Hmm.
new energetic neural pathway in the brain that serves us, one that is absolutely true. And then we turn around and we're different. We're not consciously striving to change our behavior and our thinking and working at it, and it because this is no longer playing in the background, so it happens naturally. It changes the energy. So those women I was telling you about when I first decided to write the book, they both were doing all the same things they were doing before. Their behavior didn't change, but their energy changed. And it was
Yeah.
how they were doing it and how they felt while they were doing it. And it's, the client magnet, the book title is The Coach's Guide to Attract Ideal Clients Through Spiritual Awareness, or I say
Yeah.
through spiritual practices. And so that is the work. And it is just simply worth doing. And then it kind of just feels like magic, like, wow, people
It
are now
just,
finding me.
did that just happen? Right? Yes. And that's so true. That's so true. And it comes into us literally aligning with our identities, right? And it's such a fun and amazing thing to witness, to feel into, and then to get to attract those right types of clients. It is. I love what you're saying. So really quickly, one last thing, describe the ACE method to us. Because I know that was kind of a big thing in your book as well.
So the ACE method is it's the 3 steps to help you get into your subconscious, access, access what it is that's holding you back, clear it, and then empower yourself with new emotions, new thoughts, and beliefs. So the A is for access, C is for clear, E is for empowerment. So how do we do that? The number one way to get into your subconscious for me is to use the full breath, use a long, full breath, breathing with your lower abdomen. So as you're listening to this, I invite you to put your hand on your lower abdomen with your thumb at about the level of the navel. Thank you, Erin, for
Yeah, I'm
putting.
doing it.
And so you want to inhale to the count of 6 or 8 seconds if you can, and exhale to the count of 6 or 8 seconds. And at first, it can feel like a little bit of a workout. So you might want to practice it to get your body used to it. And this also stimulates the vagus nerve. It calms your whole nervous system. It does so much for you. So it's just great to do, period.
Hmm.
What happens in the brain when we're sitting here right now, talking, listening to each other, and all the listeners at home, the breath is controlled by the brainstem, the medulla oblongata. And when we engage the abdominal muscles, that brain function changes to the frontal lobal brain. And
Oh,
it frees up the brainstem, and that's where we have access to the subconscious. So scientifically, there is this shift, powerful shift. So you want to keep breathing. And then I suggest you always start in the root chakra. even my throat chakra book, the truth is most of the work is in the throat chakra or in the root chakra. All that energy rides up the spine.
Yep.
So if you have blocks in your root chakra, they're going to show up in your throat chakra.
Heat rises. We're going to go with that.
Bring your eyes, bring your focus down to the tip of the tailbone, and you can breathe there. And you can think about a recent event, something that upset you, or think of here you are in business and you don't have enough clients, or you want more clients, or they're not your ideal clients. Think about your problem. And so you breathe into your root chakra. And then I invite you to go into how you feel. What are the emotions that come up?
Mm-hmm.
Fear of the future, frustration, what else is all in there? And let yourself feel those emotions. And then and I'm giving you the quick and dirty here. But we'll put in the show notes access that people can have access to the whole version.
Yes, absolutely.
And then you can eventually go into when it first began. When did these emotions first begin? And then you look at what are the subconscious beliefs that are formed. And I'll share with you right now the four major subconscious beliefs that I find most of us, if not all of us, have. One is I'm not enough or not good enough. I'm unworthy.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't matter. So if any of those are playing in the background in your subconscious, it's going to get in your way. And
Yeah.
so you can discover what's in there as early as, like I said, it's always early childhood or even in the womb. And then whatever you discover, difficult emotions, and even if you cry, just keep breathing. Do whatever you can, and you breathe through it. That's the clear. So the A is for access. You're going in, you're finding everything. You go back to the beginning, and then you breathe through it using the full breath. Allow yourself to feel the emotions fully, noticing physical sensations. Remember, I said trauma is stored through physical sensations and emotions.
Mm-hmm.
That will clear it, and you'll start to feel lighter. And then the E is for empowerment. And that's where you can start to reparent your younger self. And I always say,
Yes.
start with the taking the self blame away from that little one, because little ones will blame themselves. They
Yep.
often everything is their fault. So if you say none of this was your fault, you didn't deserve it, you didn't do anything wrong, it takes away the charge, and
Mm-hmm.
it opens up to love. And folks, self-love, it all boils down to self-love.
It does.
You reparent, and then you ask your little self what their new emotions are and what the new subconscious belief is, what the new belief is, which will be much more positive. And then you can breathe into those, and that's the empowerment. So you've taken the wound, the trauma out of your energetic system, and then you replace it with light. So you're taking the darkness out and you're putting light in. And then I suggest you continue to breathe into your new mantras, the new emotions, and your new subconscious beliefs for about a week or two every day with your younger self, still focusing in the root chakra.
Ooh, I love that. I really do, because breath work is so important. You mentioned, like checking into the emotions and things. And that's super powerful, because if you want things to come from your subconscious to your conscious, you've got to access the emotional side of things, because the emotions are literally like a rainbow bridge from the subconscious to the conscious, right? They bring things up to the conscious mind. And because that's what they are. They just get your attention. That's all they're trying to do. And so when you listen to the emotion, and even like the other things that you're trying to communicate, because we communicate in more than just words, right? We communicate in our actions, and we communicate in our energy, right? When we listen to the things we're communicating, when we listen to the things we're putting out there, when we listen to the words we're saying, we can, like you said, start breathing into these things. I would even add maybe even just tapping as we're breathing, you know? Sometimes tapping, like I love using my voice while I'm tapping, but sometimes just tapping in the emotion is just as powerful, I've found, especially when you're getting into the chakras and you're talking about like the things that you're feeling and seeing. it's such powerful work. It shifts so quickly. And it's amazing. It's amazing to watch and see like what literally drops out of the sky for you in those moments. Ah, I love it. I absolutely love this. Cheryl, and I think I said Slate at the beginning, is Stelt. I am so sorry. My soul sister. Last names are not my thing. I apologize. But Cheryl Stelt, how do people find you?
You can Google search me, Cheryl Stelte. I also have my spiritual school that you can find out a lot more of what I'm doing, what I have to offer, and that's starofdivinelight.com. So all one word, starofdivinelight.com. If you just know you want to talk with me, you can enter call with Cheryl, callwithcheryl.com. That'll get you to me. And but on social media, I'm mostly on Instagram. So that's a great place to follow me and reach out to me. And my Instagram tag is Stelte Cheryl. So my last name first.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Cheryl, thanks so much. We will definitely have you back again, because this is just too good, too yummy to not have on this podcast. Guys, I hope you guys loved her as much as I do and did. Again, reach out to her, check her out, chat with her, because if you really want some help clearing those energy blocks as well, Cheryl's your go-to gal. All right, everybody. Until next week, I'll see you soon. Bye.
All right, Boundary Boss babes. I'm super excited that you tuned in with me today. Make sure you tune in again next week as we chat about more Boundary Boss babe topics. We're going to get into so many other things about how to set boundaries with your business, how to set boundaries with your relationships, so you can truly have the time, the money, and the flexibility that you are seeking. So tune in next week. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast. Let your other boss babe friends know about it. And also, if you've got any questions, make sure you submit them into the podcast by clicking on the send us a text message at the bottom of the podcast description. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. See you later, boss babes.